2 in the morning. You're staring at the ceiling. Your brain won't stop. The meeting tomorrow. The text you shouldn't have sent. The thing you said 3 years ago that nobody else remembers. You know this loop. You've been stuck in it 1,000 times, and you've tried everything. The breathing apps, the sleep podcasts. The advice that says, just stop worrying, as if that's ever worked for anyone. Here's what's strange. A former slave, born in what's now Turkey around 55 AD, described the exact same spiral. Word for word. His name was Epictetus. He couldn't walk properly. His master broke his leg deliberately. And yet, he claimed he'd found a way to never be anxious again. Not calm, not relaxed, not anxious. That's a big promise from a man who owned nothing. But he wasn't selling anything. He was teaching for free in a borrowed room to anyone who'd listen. Epictetus didn't tell people to breathe deeply. He didn't tell them to think positive. He said something much harder. You're anxious because you're confused about what's yours. You think the meeting tomorrow is the problem. It's not. The problem is that you believe you can control how it goes. You can't. You can prepare. You can show up on time. You can speak clearly. But whether your boss agrees, whether your colleague interrupts you, whether the projector dies mid-slide, that's not yours. It never was. And the gap between what you want to control and what you actually can. That's where anxiety lives. Every single time, not sometimes, every time. Epictetus put it bluntly in the Discourses. Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. He wasn't being poetic. He meant it as a diagnostic tool, a way to sort every anxious thought into one of 2 boxes, your box or not your box. Here's the part that'll bother you. Cognitive behavioral therapy, the most prescribed treatment for anxiety disorders on the planet, was built on this. Not inspired by it, built on it. Aaron Beck and Albert Ellis, the founders of CBT in the 1960 seconds, both credited Epictetus directly. Ellis kept a copy of the Enchiridion on his desk. That's the handbook Epictetus' student wrote down after his lectures. The core CBT technique goes like this. Identify the thought causing you distress. Question whether it's based on something you can actually control. If it's not, let it pass. Don't fight it. Don't argue with it. Let it go. Sound familiar? It should. It's Epictetus in a lab coat. 2,000 years later, the best clinical minds in psychology arrived at the same conclusion a former slave reached in a Roman lecture hall. And here's what's uncomfortable about that. You don't need a prescription for this. Epictetus gave it away for free. Seneca added something Epictetus didn't. A practice you can do tonight. Every evening before bed, Seneca would run through everything that went wrong that day. Not to punish himself. To ask one question, was this in my control? If yes, fix it tomorrow. If no, drop it. He called it examining the day. It took 10 minutes. He did it for decades. He wrote about it in De Ira, on anger. Marcus Aurelius did something similar, but in the morning. Before the sun came up, he'd write down the worst things that could happen that day. A friend's betrayal, a plan falling apart, public humiliation. Then he'd sit with each one. By the time the day actually started, none of it could surprise him. The anxiety had nowhere to land. Think about that. This isn't positive thinking, it's the opposite. You're rehearsing the worst case deliberately until it loses its grip on you. Marcus ran the Roman Empire for nearly 20 years using this method every single morning. But here's what none of the self-help accounts mention. Epictetus never said you'd stop feeling anxious. Read the Discourses carefully. He said you'd stop being controlled by it. There's a difference. The feeling still shows up. The 2 a.m. ceiling stare still happens. The difference is what you do next. You notice the thought. You ask one question. Is this mine to control? And if it's not, you don't wrestle it. You don't argue with it. You watch it pass, like weather. Epictetus spent his entire life in poverty, with a broken body, teaching in a borrowed room. He never published a single word. Everything we have from him, his student Arian wrote it down from memory. And the strange thing is, people are still using his method every day. They just don't know whose it is. Their therapist never told them. So tonight, when the loop starts again, and it will, try the question, just once, is this mine?